Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. I'm being broadcast live on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and on YouTube World. Hello, YouTube. And now, if you are listening on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button if you like the show, and subscribe, and the little bell so you'll know when I'm going live, because I sometimes have stuff happen during the week, too. So I see 9 viewers and 6 likes. Y'all are slacking. Anyways, yeah, it's a Saturday evening here in North Idaho. It's been actually almost balming. And yeah, it's been interesting. Good day, I guess. It was pretty mellow. I've been a bit under the weather, so yeah, it's just it's been a long day. Took it easy though. So, hey, well, I see Drone is in and Bomber are both in TFR, and yeah, Bigfoot Radio will be on in just about 60 minutes, roughly, give or take. It'll be 10 o'clock Pacific time, and then in YouTube chat, I see a crowd is forming. Naysay, Aussie, Cold Smoke Games. That's a new name. Hello. And Elaine, Jessica, Nessie, Peter, Renee, and Sonia. Hello. I hope y'all are having just a lovely time of it. And I see you're there. And holy cow! Keep thinking rain for Australia. That slow soaking rain to kind of pull some of that smoke out of the sky and calm some of those fires down. It sprinkled a bit today down in that area, but they could use some more rain energy. So, and that's actually kind of one of the things I'm talking about tonight is energy in general. Because last night we talked about some of the signs that you may have noticed the transition in the energy for the new year. And it's I don't know. I've experienced it. I think that's part of the reason I've been feeling a little under the weather. Got some other stuff going on because life and I'm old. And but yeah, it's good times. So I got to thinking, it is time to talk about energy a bit. What is it? And what does it feel like? What does it look like? Because it's a little bit different for everybody. Some of it depends upon your path. Some of it may depend upon your tradition that you're learning in, because not all traditions are the same. It also depends upon your own personal talents. And there's a lot of information out there on how to tap into your natural energy. So we're not really talking about that, but more what's it look like, what's it feel like. And a little bit about grounding and shielding too, because I think that is important as well. And that energy is really important, because when we're doing a working or a ritual casting or any of that kind of nature or thing, we're putting our energy into any of that ourselves. And often, in order to continue the working or the ritual, we're putting a lot of ourselves into it, and a lot of our personal energy. And sometimes we overdo it, and sometimes we don't have quite enough in there, or sometimes it's not even the right kind of energy. Like ley lines, for instance. Ley lines tap into the energy of the earth. It's also called the telluric energy or telluric current. Now, That name or label is derived from Tellus, which is the ancient Roman goddess of the earth, and she is also known as the Terra Mater, or Mater, or Mother Earth, and so it became combined into the Latin telluric, meaning land, territory, or earth. So it's that earth energy. It comes from the core of the earth, and it comes up through everything. It takes comes up through the crust of the earth and through the molten interior and all that stuff. And often it's very, very associated with water. It pools in like aquifers and wells, and that's why so many of the old wells have a an energy to it, or to them, because they've been around for so long that often that energy will pool right in the well, and it often develops an entity of its own, or it's a spirit of its own to protect the well. Same with a lot of the old cisterns or lakes or streams, rivers, any of that stuff that's been around for a while. So, hmm. Sorry, I've been dry too. So, anyways, so if you're looking for ley lines, often they're gonna be around water sources. Like I have ponds right here on my property. I've got a river that flows by really close. I mean, it's from, I don't know, if you're sitting in the Walmart parking lot next to the doors in almost any Walmart parking lot I've ever been in, the closest road, that's about how far we are from a river. We're on a bench looking down, and it's beautiful. Love it here. And but there's definitely an energy flowing by, and it's been interesting to watch, because it ebbs and it flows, and you can tell sometimes that different entities are coming through the area because of that energy. And it's been interesting. It really has, and I'll say that probably a few times because yeah, I have a dog that I would not have said that he is a sensitive at all, but apparently he's a sensitive little soul, and notices things. He's a hound, so I guess that kind of makes some sense. But anyways, I'm digressing. Anyways, that energy, flowing through the water, coming up out of the earth. So that's the telluric energy, or the earth energy. And telluric is kind of more of a druidic word, I suppose, for earth energy or ley lines. But it's still what it is. I mean, there's no reason why we can't call it by its real name. And I didn't sort my notes very well because, life. But, it's all good. So there's also, energy from the sun energy, which is a real thing also. Anybody who's ever stood out in outside and felt the sun upon your face, your skin, there's some energy there. And the solar current, solar rays, solar wind, that's a real thing too. They talk about solar sails for spacecraft and all that. I don't know how efficient it would be, but there is a lot of energy with the sun. And that energy changes. It fluctuates throughout the day. Your morning light, your evening light, or your noon light is all different. Just like with the moon, So there's some variance in it. And so just as moon water is very sacred to use for anointing, especially those who follow like Hecate or any of the dark goddesses, or the moon god, the sun has a very similar power. So sometimes you may need to get the water blessed by the sun, because it is important. Because sometimes you need different energies for your different workings or your different castings. So that solar current, of course, is often very strong during the summer solstice, and it's kind of a big deal, I would say. So I do have I have some sun water from the solstice, and I have moon water from the spring solstice when we had the eclipse. So that's some pretty special water for me personally, because the energy to it is different, and I use that actually to anoint my crystal ball that I showed you pictures of yesterday. So there's also our internal energy, also chi or ki, or let's see, what else could you call it? The Force. If you're, follow Star Wars at all, that the internal energy. So, the that internal energy, it's real. It really is. And then there's the deities or the guides, and they have energy also. And when we're doing castings or rituals or spell work, often we're asking for their blessing to provide their energy to what we're trying to accomplish. And we also have to be kind of aware of that, and what we're asking for, and make sure that we're asking for the right energy when we're getting ready to do a spell or a ritual. Because if you're asking for something serious and sedate, maybe it's a passing ritual, or for someone who's passed from this life to the next, or a hand fasting or something, you're not going to call on, say, Loki, who's a bit more of a trickster. You want someone who is going to bless the union and keep it stable, or help the person transition from this life to the next. That would be like Hel, for instance, Hel, or one of the other underworld deities. So you really have to pay attention to the energy that you're asking for when you're coming or trying to work with them. And that being said, you do not have to have a patron or patroness deity. You really don't. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And if you don't, you can put out that energy to the god or the goddess in a general neutral terms, and just accept that energy in, rather than trying to put a label to it. And if you're not sure about how to do that, meditate on it, journal your results, meditate some more, and keep journaling it, and keep coming back and forth until you're really fine-tuned on your process. So there are a lot of books out there on research, or for research, when it comes to, finding energy or doing energy work or anything like that. There's a lot of material out there. You do have to weed through it a bit, because there's a lot of crap too. Really, there is a lot of crap out there. So read through it, write down what's working for you. Don't be afraid to go back through and look at references in books to find where they found that information, or online. A lot of articles will have their references listed at the bottom, or they're hyperlinked throughout the article. And that's good to have, and to go to those references, because you want to make sure the information that's being referenced in your article is legit also. Because you don't want to, be reading something like, "Ooh, this is great, this is the best stuff ever," and you get down to the sources to find it, and suddenly you're looking at some sort of Skyrim stats or something, or Magic the Gathering. And that's, just pay attention to where you're researching and what you're doing there. So on that note, Scott Cunningham is an interesting character, and he's an author. He's written quite a few pagan and Wicca books. And in his mind, there's actually only 3 specific types of energy. There's the divine energy, which is from gods or a spiritual entity, the personal energy from ourselves, and then the earth energy, which is coming from the earth. And each of those different energies are going to feel differently. And so if you're doing something active, such as raising and directing energy to help heal someone, for instance, or being receptive, such as sitting outside and just tuning into the world around you, those are going to feel differently, and they're going to look different. Now, some people, when they are trying to tap into the energy, whether it's earth, deity, or themselves, really it's going to feel differently. It may feel like an electric charge. It may feel like you're in a breeze, maybe, or maybe you can feel water, flowing around you or is tugging at you. It may feel like it's a spiral sensation or whirlwind or swirling type of sensation. It may feel like pins and needles. Kind of like, when your foot falls asleep because you've been, sitting on it, or your arm goes to sleep because you've been laying on it wrong or something like that. That pins and needles feeling, which is kind of frustrating because I don't like that one. Now, you instead of feeling that energy, you may actually see it. It may be like that shimmery look, like heat waves. If you're, for anybody who's been through the desert or any place warm, when the sun's striking like pavement or something, that shimmery effect from the heat waves, or on the horizon, it may feel like rays of light. Um, um, and seriously, it may feel like you're just having that moment as lights are shining down upon you or on your project or what you're trying to do. Now, some people can actually taste the change in energy or smell it, because it has a slightly different texture to it. Now, this one I don't have. I do get the shimmers, and I get the goosebumps. Oh my, yes, I definitely get that one. That's more of a personal energy, I suppose. But yeah, just really, it's gonna be different for everybody, and there's no one right way or one wrong way. It's gonna be different, and so that's part of the reason why when you're doing your research, go to multiple sources, and find what's the good, you know, not necessarily the good information, but just what is it that connects with you or feels right to you, because it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. It really, really is. And it helps to visualize what you're trying to do. So even if you're feeling that electric charge or that kind of energy, and that it just the taste of it, even, or the rays, or any of that sensation that you might have, if you visualize it happening, close your eyes, you meditate, you ground, you center, and you're focused on your project or your ritual or your casting, whatever it is you're doing, and close your eyes and you visualize it actually working. You're visualizing the energy between your hands, and it feels interesting, between your hands. Often, if you hold two magnets together, north to north or south to south, and you put them together, and you feel that slight offset of the energy of the magnet ends, kind of pushing each other. You can feel it, and it's an interesting feeling, and so that's actually your own internal energy field that you can feel. So if you're watching on YouTube, you see my hands come together, I can feel my energy right there, and it's warm. So I feel a lot of warmth when I do energy work, and the goosebumps, and it's just kind of crazy awesome. Anyways, if you have someone you can work with, often that's helpful to to help identify someone else's energy, and how you can interact with someone else's energy. It needs to be someone you trust, and you can, pets are okay, plants are okay, but it helps to have a person that you can communicate with and ask questions of. So as you're doing different things, how does it feel? What does it look like to the other person? Excuse me. Now, if you don't have someone you can work with, because a lot of us are a bit more solitary and don't have someone with us consistently to do energy work. That's real. Just continue doing your work. Um, uh, Sorry, Nase just kind of gave me a curveball. Um, and I'll get to that in a minute. So basically, work through your exercises. There's a lot of them online that you can find or in books, and journal it. So if you're doing energy work and trying, and this is a new adventure for you, if you will, um, you know, it's it is good to write down what you're doing, the different practices you're doing, the results you receive, um, the interactions you're having with other people, what works, what doesn't. How do you feel afterwards? I mean, do you feel sick? Do you feel energized? What is it that you feel after you do your energy work? Because that'll actually give you a really solid clue as to what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Because we don't want you to do it wrong, really. We want you to do it right, because you don't want to be drained and exhausted at the end of it. And often when we're doing energy work, at the end, we're hyped up, like we've had too much coffee or too much energy and too much chocolate. Heaven forbid that it happens. But it's good though. So visualize it. Do your exercises. Ground and center before and afterwards, because you are going to have extra energy. You really are, if you're doing it right, and that's a good thing. Often a frustrating thing, because what do you do with it? Where does that energy go? So I'm going to talk about the grounding and centering probably after the break, and just really quick. So there's been some talk in TR4 TFR world, and also in chats in general, and kind of online throughout, is some sort of guided maybe meditation or intentions to kind of cool some things down, whether it's some personalities or any of the fires down south in Australia, or some of the political mess, and just kind of a general healing. And if you guys are interested in that, I suppose I can put something together. I haven't done that for a group before like this, but we could. So let me ponder that and talk to some co-conspirators and see what I can come up with. Because probably not tonight. Maybe next weekend we could do something like that on Friday night or Saturday. I don't know. Anyways, we'll get to that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, I think there is some potential for doing some intentional direction of energy and calming those fires down, because I know it's a lot easier to find a home or go home if you're not worried about fire falling from the sky. So happy thoughts down to Australia, and wishing them some rain without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, on that note, real quick, call lines are open, so if you want to call, please do so. That number is 213-233-3998, or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. If you want to support the show, check out the Etsy shop. It is www.etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio, and Mountain is MTN. Or you can check out the Patreon site. That is www.patreon.com/the-spaces-between. So yeah, there's some things going on there, and I am still working on the book, guys. Just working on it when time is available. So and there's nothing wrong with too much coffee, really. There isn't. But I actually considered having a cup tonight because you know what? Sometimes you need coffee and cake because they go well together.
Speaking of cake.
Yes, there is cake. So, hi Don.
Let him eat cake. We like cake.
Yes. Yes, cake is good.
How's your time?
My time, we're actually just about to the break, so I think so. Yeah, on Friday, let's talk about shadow work just a bit and kind of some guided intention setting for some general healing and cleansing and stuff like that. So I think it'd be good. And I think Don's gonna have crumbs in his beard if he keeps.
Well, Mog says close your mouth, Don.
Oh yeah, white line fever.
I,
Be right back.
oh Lord, within the sun, as we Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And Aussie, holy cow, man, that's not cool. So don't eat your dog. That's not okay. But I understand. If you can get to a shelter, they'd probably have something for you. I know it's rough down there right now, so take care of yourself and your pup. And so yeah, we're talking about energy work. So
Can I ask a question?
yeah, sure.
So you were talking about sunlight energy earlier
Mhm.
and being out in the sun.
Mhm.
So is there any... I probably shouldn't go there. Is there any validity to sunning the bung? You see all these Facebook posts when they're out there naked and they're all got their legs kicked up and they got their butts pointed at the sun.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You twisted person.
Thank you.
Um.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going. They can see you. They can't see me.
I know. They're seeing the absolute confusion upon my face as I'm looking at you like, what on earth are you talking about?
But it comes back to what Nase said last night about us kind of being human, grounding rods, because if you think about it, when lightning strikes, so the earth, you were talking about earth energy and the what is it? What is it called? The termite?
Telluric.
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 So telluric energy. So when a lightning bolt hits somewhere, wherever that lightning bolt hit, it's the earth sent up a streamer of energy, and that's where it connects to the earth. The lightning comes out and it hits that stringer and it grounds out to the earth. So if you think of it that way, lightning storms, and if it strikes the ground, the earth threw out energy to pull it towards it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's, there's some similarities there. I mean, I don't remember what the name for lightning glass is, but that's where when you put a lightning rod in a sandy beach or sand of some sort and lightning strikes the lightning rod, and the heat from the lightning, transforms the sand into glass. There's a lot of energy in that glass.
Mm-hmm.
And often it's very pretty because it is, but it's pretty intense energy too, because there's a lot in there. A lot of energy in there, actually. So speaking of grounding out, when you're centering yourself, that's regulating your breathing. I've talked about centering kind of processes in the past where 40 acres, sorry, Naysay, I saw your chat. You're sending energy down into the earth, bringing earth energy back up, sending energy out into the universe, bringing universe energy back into you, as you're centering and such.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the same thing with grounding. Because if you're feeling kind of jittery and shaky, after a ritual or something, you have a lot of energy to you, you may need to ground that out and let it go. And it's happened to me. It's quite frustrating. I've literally gone out and hugged my elderberry tree barefoot to let some of that energy out because I'm just zinging. And you want to just focus on that energy and let it go down into the earth and let it kind of soak into the earth. I mean, there's a lot of ground out there to just soak stuff up. Some people carry stones or crystals in their pockets to help grounding. Some people have it's like there's a special name for it and I don't remember what it is, but like a bucket full of dirt that they keep near their front door or their ritual space to actually ground that energy into the dirt. Um, there's a parable out there about how, this guy, he's working and work is really, really stressful, and his boss brings on him, hey, I want to come to your house for dinner. He's like, but we don't have this, and my house is a wreck, and kids and insanity. And before he walks into his house with his boss right behind him, he stops and touches the tree and takes a deep breath. And basically, he's grounding out that negativity that he had from work before he walks into his house, because all that negativity and just crap that happened at work, he doesn't want to take it home too. So, and then when he walks to the door, he's happy and he's in a good mood, and they have dinner. And as he's walking the boss out to his car, he's like, so what's going on? Why'd you do that? He goes, well, I learned that when I have negative stuff happen to me at work, it's best to leave that outside of my home. And so I ground it out with my tree, or not necessarily ground it out. I hang that trouble on my tree, and I can pick it up in the morning if I need to, because it'll still be there. And that's a real thing. I know a lot of us work in often stressful places because, let's face it, people are stressful.
People suck.
It doesn't matter what career you're in or what you do for a living, whether it's you're a writer or you work in retail. People will drive you nuts. If you have to call customer service or a helpline of any kind, you're going to be frustrated. So it's a really good way to just let some of that energy out. Hang it up on the tree or the plant or the doorknob or whatever it is before you go in the house, and leave that outside of your home life. Your home life will be a lot less stress free. There will be a lot less stress to it. So anyways, ground out that energy. Let it focus down into the ground or up into the atmosphere, and just let it go. Don't hang on to it. So you don't really have to have a bucket of dirt or a physical tree. You can have something metaphorical even if you need to, but it's a real thing. You can even have a catchphrase or a closing statement. That's part of the reason why the circle is open but never broken is often a line in when releasing a circle. It's because it's a sense of finality or a sense of closing to the ritual, so that energy is going to stop there. So that's important. You don't want to pick up extra energy if you don't need it. We're not all 5 years old. We don't need all that extra energy. So now, you've probably also heard of people talk about shielding when it comes to energy. Because if you are in a crowd, often you'll feel the energy of that crowd. If you've ever been to a rock concert and the warm-up band sucks, you will know that there is a change in energy. The people who are there, we're so excited, and the warm-up band sucks. It gets a little ugly really fast. And then the real band comes on and they're awesome. Or vice versa, because I've seen the headliners often don't perform as well as we hoped they would, because maybe they're not as young as they used to be. So
the rolling groans.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, it's interesting. So when you are trying to do your shielding, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I'm going to mention it because we'll go into shielding later, probably more. But it's kind of go back to that grounding and centering, process if you need to. But you want to take the energy that you have and kind of expand it out so it's covering your body. Think of it as your energy suit of armor. You can visualize it that way, or a space suit, or a brick wall, or a bubble, or whatever it is that helps you find that mental spot. It's you need whatever it is to help you visualize. Find it. Or maybe it's like, tinting your windows. I don't know, but whatever it is going to help you keep that negative energy away. So if you're going to family events, which can often have odd energies, or school events can have odd energy, or work or anything like that. I cannot imagine trying to work in Walmart for any length of time. Can you imagine the insanity that those poor
Just
people have to deal
imagine
with?
how many people I'd have to go to jail for.
Yeah. Wouldn't they make you cut your beard?
They'd make me no, because I wouldn't work for them. You're like, do you see this beautiful mane on my chin?
Oh, jeez.
Rawr.
Do you have a sponsor for your mane yet?
I don't know. There's a bunch of beardos out there, though.
Yeah, there are a fair number of beardos. I'm surprised you don't have a sponsor like with a bead hanging down, like Beard Club for Men or something.
Beard club for men. That's not a bad idea. But anyhow, get back to your show.
I'm just saying. So, anyways, it just is. So yeah, that shielding, whatever bubble it is that you decide to put around yourself, just you visualize it. If it helps to tie that shield to like a rock that you're going to keep in your pocket, or a crystal, or a necklace, or bracelet, or watch, or even earrings, whatever it is that you can help tie that visualization to, do it. It'll help you, and it'll help reduce some of that negativity that we encounter in our day-to-day lives. So there is another type of energy that people often try to create or manipulate, and that's kind of bringing the solar current, the universe current, and the telluric current together and weaving it together to do things. And it requires a little bit more work, and it's not something for the novice. You do need to work through it, and not so with energy work. Just disclaimer, don't jump in the deep end and try to do something big and huge with your energy work if you've never used energy before, because it'll exhaust you, and you will have a hard time recovering from it. You'll be more prone to illness while the energy is down, and you don't necessarily know what the repercussions are, because if you're drained that much and you're weakened, it opens yourself up to psychic attacks, the psychic vampires, negative jerks that you might encounter, because unfortunately they're out there, they're everywhere, and they keep repopulating themselves. It's just, anyways. So yeah, just work through the process. Start with the baby steps. Get really good at figuring out where your own energy fields are before you try to expand it out and do any other energy working. Just PSA. You don't have to listen to me, because this is my path and I'm just trying to share it with y'all. It's like my own live journal, but
That's a great way to think about that.
yeah, it is. It is my live journal. I'm holding myself accountable. I journal twice a week. At least. Sometimes more. Live. In front of a studio audience. I just need a laugh track now.
That's my job.
But you're not always here. Sometimes you're out doing your own
That's true.
doggone thing.
That's true.
You beardo, you. So, anyways, when, at the beginning of the show, I talked about, ley lines just a bit. And I think they've changed a bit over the years. They're not in the same places they were in ancient times. You can look at it, any of the ancient structures that have been discovered and all that, they tend to show up in various places throughout the world that have some sort of connection. I know Don's seen this because he's kind of, you like to do research, right? And you talk about ancient stuff occasionally, the whole Aether Archives bit.
I was going to say, I would have to agree, because, a lot of ley lines follow water. And, of course, rivers and lakes and things like that shift and move, especially you were talking about the river out here. And, I'm sure that it's moved a few times in the last millennia or two, so it totally makes sense that ley lines would move with watercourses. Now, Brent also talks about sometimes when he's talking about, as a matter of fact, last night on the show he was talking about how, it's believed that some migratory birds will follow what may be perceived as ley lines, and a lot of that's over water. So, and we've also postulated on the portal, we hear that dogmen stay near water as well. Is that because there's portals near water and they can shift in and out of dimension? So there's a lot of power in water, and it would make total sense. Water is one of the most powerful things on the face of the earth. And so, yeah, it makes sense that power attracts power, and that's where it goes.
Well, there's so with the Unseelie,
Mm-hmm.
and the Sluagh, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Often uses the spaces between the space between spaces to portal. So that would be like in a doorway, or where water meets the earth, or and the sky, or the sky. So
that's an interesting idea.
So it may be that where those elements all come together in the same place, that creates more of a hot spot for energy, and because I would assume a portal would require a crap ton of energy.
Okay. More than a shite ton?
Yeah,
or less than a shite ton?
Yeah, just a metaphorical crap ton. Because, whether it's a pool or eddy or something like that in a river, the back current maybe, it may pool there. Or if you see, like during the winter, in some places you'll see the ice does these weird things. Everything will be frozen, but there will be this one section of ice
like
that
a
is
whirlpool.
just spinning like a whirlpool. I can't help but think that that's pooling energy there too. And I would assume that would be an interesting place for some sort of portal to show up there. So, but a lot of those ancient sites, as I was saying, I think they were originally on the ley lines near or on from ancient times, but because the earth has changed so much, the continents are shifting.
Always.
The oceans have currents running through them, so I would assume that energy is going through the current also. The big old lake that we've got here has a major river, starts at one end, kind of goes through and comes out the other end. I would assume there'd be some energy there following the river, in addition to what's kind of pooling in the lake. So, yeah, I just, as that energy is flowing, I have no idea.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Flashback to a story Brent read on the show tonight.
Oh dear. I didn't catch it. I was doing other things.
These fellas went out and they were fishing at Sam's Old Bottom.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Y'all are weird.
Things pooling. I don't know. Anyhow.
You're both beardos nowadays. Goodness. So, anyways, the currents. There's also, the air currents. If you watch the jet stream, it travels, it goes, it changes, it moves around. But there's a lot of energy that is in that jet stream. Anybody who's ever encountered a windstorm of any type can understand there's a lot of energy in a wind. And so wind energy is a very interesting thing to tap into. It's probably the one I tapped into first growing up. I used to stand in the wind all the time because it really kept me grounded, oddly. It kind of blew away a lot of the negativity that I kind of experienced growing up and, life in general. So, anyways, just where all of those things come together, I think, yes, those are going to be your hot spots for portal activity or an increased number of unexplained things happening. I think that's probably why Chicago is such a hot spot.
Yeah, well, Illinois in general, I guess.
Michigan, Illinois, Manhattan, probably.
Maybe, yeah. Well.
Any of those, even Paris. Because Paris, there's a river that actually runs under part of Paris now. Because, and not just the Seine, but there was another tributary that got filled in and kind of, it's an underground river too. So, same with Washington, D.C. There's a lot of energy there that didn't stop because the water's no longer on the surface. Is now underground, just like ley lines are generally more generally considered to be more underground. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Sure.
How often do you comb your beard?
It's soothing.
Do you need a nook?
Me and my blanket.
You're so weird.
It's this sandalwood comb. It's awesome.
You're. I
Anyhow,
should turn the camera on so people
keep
can see
going.
what you're doing.
They see what I'm doing if they watch the portal.
Yeah, they're just nuts. So, talking about putting energy out there, sending healing energy to those that need it, or rain energy down to, say, Australia, for instance. You can do that simply. Light a candle. I use birthday candles, actually, for a lot of stuff, just because I am not very patient, contrary to what a lot of people believe. And if you light a full taper candle and you let it burn out, it can take hours. And I don't always want to leave a candle burning on my altar or somewhere else. It's for that length of time, so I use birthday candles. Partly because I'm trying to send positive energy out. So, birthdays.
Birthdays. That's
Happy
awesome.
birthday, it's birthday candles. And they're short and they're quick. And I think I want to get some of those that don't get blown out candles. Those are actually faster, but I can't help but think there'd be a different kind of energy there, because no matter how hard you blow on them, they don't go out.
Well, that's because there's magnesium in them.
So, anyways. You don't have to pick a color of a candle. Generally, white is pretty neutral. And you can use it for just about anything. Blue is something that I generally associate with water, just because that's what works for me. And I don't generally ascribe any particular color to any particular element in the long term. It depends on what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because even color meanings have changed a lot over the years. So you can't... you just can't. Aussie, there's an awesome app where you can download a candle and just set your intention and turn on the app and light the candle on the app, and for whatever length of time, and so it's, or a lighter, flick a lighter. You got enough fire around it, Aussie. You don't need to light another fire. Just kind of look at it. Prayer, prayer, spell work, casting, rituals, they all kind of fall into that same category. You are asking for assistance and guidance to accomplish an objective when it comes to ritual or castings. So prayer is very much like working a spell or doing a ritual. Very, very similar. So yes, light prayers, excellent. But you light that little candle. Seriously, set your intention, ground yourself, pull your own internal energy, and then let it out in the form of rain or healing or whatever it is that you're trying to send out. I like to do it with a little bit of wind, when I'm done, to blow all that out, because since I am kind of attuned to the wind anyways, I want that energy to be blown to the person who's receiving it. So just birthday candles. They're quick, they're to the point. You can get a big box of them at the dollar store for almost for $1, and you get all these little candles for $1. So it just it does what it does. See, the other thing, tobacco, for instance, just really quick, because we only got about 2 minutes here. So tobacco has long been used as a ritualistic offering to the deities. So, if you have a little tobacco, even just a little pinch from a butt, set your intention and hold it in your hand and blow it off your hand into the direction of the fire. But build your intention, set your energy into the tobacco strands, and then seriously, you just blow them off your hand and towards the fire, and release that energy when you blow it off. So much of what we do is setting that intention before we do our working or our casting, and understanding what it is we want to achieve. So if I were to do a guided meditation or anything like that, I would probably spend 10 minutes minimum talking about your intention. I would drone on and you guys be like, all right, move on already. Because that's kind of who I am and how I do things. But also, we need to have the right intention before we do something. It's important to make sure we are sending the right intention. The phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, that's a legit thing. Because no matter what your intentions are, and your planned intentions, there's always the unintended consequences of what you're trying to accomplish. So, when I think of sending rain to Australia, for instance, I think a calm, soothing, soaking rain. There is no thunder, there is no lightning, and there is no wind. It is just the rain. So, I think that's important. So, happy thoughts, healing thoughts out there for those that need it. And yeah, if you want to support the show, by all means, it's patreon.com, the spaces between, / the spaces between, can't talk. So, or email me, it's wildpaisley@gmail.com. So thanks, you guys. Have a good night. Merry meet, merry part, merry meet again.
Bye.
Good night, all.
As we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done. Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me.